This is like the closest thing alternative history can get to like Dungeons and Dragons. I feel like there's a little bit of crossover here. I'm basically going back in time and making small changes in history, and then I'm given really brief prompts on how that would change the world. And it'll be my job to add things here and predict how exactly this would affect everything. There's so much room for interpretation, and we can get like pretty big with some of this stuff. I want to dive into more than just changing borders around, talking about flags and maybe government types, cultures, and the different possible histories they would have underneath the surface. I love starting at not too early, but not too recent. The 1700s is perfect. We're gonna basically not allow the US to become independent. So basically, the British have crushed the American independence movement, and apparently that is a very bad thing for the world. Now, I might have my whole timeline collapse if I do too many bad things, and this video is gonna end really fast. Now, of course, in reality, the 13 colonies became independent and became the US in 1776. Not so much in this universe, though. The British crown names America West Britannia and conquers Latin and South America. Now, this is pretty much what our world looked like at this time, and obviously if the British are conquering Latin and South America, that means they are pushing out Spain and Portugal. Well, maybe the colonies are still there, but these overlords back in Europe, not so much. One thing's for sure, we can definitely erase this border between the US and Canada because that is the same place. The US has pretty much become Canada at this point. Already something I'm thinking about here, though, is would there be a Louisiana Purchase? For now, I'm gonna just kind of cut this border off there. The French's #1 enemy at this time would be the British, so I don't think they'd want to just like let this go to them. Again, some of this stuff we kind of figure out with the future prompts, or we eventually like adapt our story. Also, I think in my timeline I've made Louisiana a little bit longer and up into Canada than they were initially. But I think it's interesting, just from this first prompt alone, does Britain no longer even care about Canada now? I mean, they were forced to care about Canada when we became independent, but if they still have the 13 colonies, then do they really mind? I'm also kind of thinking, is there now more room for an independent Quebec? Or maybe just a Quebec that stays within France's territory? Again, these borders are 100% going to be modified. This is just what I'm using for now. French forces surrendered in Quebec City back in 1759, so that isn't really affected. Something I have to wonder here is, again, with the British now kind of focused on South America, Latin America, and then, just building up the 13 colonies, would it be easier for France to take this back? Again, this is not confirmed or anything. It's just an idea that I'm thinking of. Question mark. Before I start changing around borders in all of Latin America, let me just read the next prompt. Buckingham Palace is now transferred to New York. Okay, that's fine. New York will be more or less somewhere right there. All right, so just to give ourselves a little reminder right there. Wait a second, playing this game before, I think I know what's about to happen to that. It's 1939, Britannia and West Britannia crushed the Third Reich in a 6-day lightning war. All right, well, again, just as another reminder, they have pretty much all of this, and then who knows what else they have throughout the world. So far, we haven't affected the timeline to affect really a World War I. Obviously, the Entente is still gonna win, and then there'd be a World War II because Germany's angry, and they just get crushed instantly, I guess. West Britannia mate the Indian insurrection. India becomes East Britannia. Mate. That's a weird word. Okay, so we can confirm there is still a British Raj. They have all of this, including Myanmar. Just gonna go ahead and erase these borders. Just gonna start labeling some of this stuff. Yeah, this is exactly what I'm saying. See, there always has to be some sort of attack here in 2001. I mean, I warned you it was gonna happen. Guess we can just erase this then. No, you know what? I think it's safe to say there's probably a 2.0 one that eventually gets built, even if it's like 20 years later. I don't have like some different things to it. Maybe it'll be like a different structure. I'm just gonna put like a little things in the background. Maybe it's a little bit bigger. I don't know. Okay, I know what you're thinking. We really have to flesh a whole lot more out here, but I'm hesitant to start just like building everything and then like a prompt comes and just have to wipe it all clean. I mean, one thing's for sure, we can safely say we have a mega powerful Britain. And with that, you can definitely kiss an Irish independence goodbye. They's never getting that. This is a good first prompt because now we can slowly do things to probably break up the mega Britannia empire. Another thing I'm going to do is obviously there probably wouldn't be these borders here, the modern day US and Mexico borders. If they controlled all of Latin America, and remember this is like by the 1800s, Mexico was still big, so more than likely they'd have all of this. I will be giving Alaska back to Russia for now. They definitely didn't sell it to the British in our timeline. timeline, they just didn't want to sell it to the British. That was like the only thing they were focused on. I feel like for now, I'm going to keep this as uncolonized land until we get more details. I think it's safe to say the British would have extended the 13 colonies and had them push out. Of course, Florida was a part of Spain. They would have got that too. They technically have pretty much all of the Caribbean as well. There are moments where I will kind of somewhat veer off the prompt ever so slightly, but I don't think one of those moments is right now. Do I think they took over all of Latin America? No, probably not. And that's kind of why I'm leaving some of them like uncolored red, but I want to like have more of a reason to do it first. It's a really ugly French Louisiana, I realize that. Literally everything, like all of it, is subject to change. I just want to say that right now. Now, what do we do next? There's only a couple events that we can possibly modify. This would be interesting because it's just going to be in such a different part of the world. Really afraid of messing with anything too early on here because that's going to like completely change the timeline. So in our universe, Japan won the war, taking out Russia. In this one, I'm going to have Russia win against the Japanese. I'm assuming this means they're going to have some new Japanese islands, maybe some anime under their belt. Russian anime, who doesn't want that? Okay, that was really bad for my karma. Why can I never do things good and never do good things? So Russia colonizes all of Japan, which becomes this sort of oblast. Remember, the Russian oblasts are like their states, our US states. So in 1905, during the Russo-Japanese War, Japan did have all of Korea. So we have to keep in mind this is affecting that peninsula as well. I kind of also want to modify these borders that Russia had at that moment with China. Russia might be kind of taking a bite out of China here. So we can now definitely extend this green color all the way out this way. They're also getting this island as well. And they're actually also getting Taiwan as well. They're taking all of Japanese lands. I don't know how the Russians would have made a naval invasion on the Japanese islands. The Mongolians couldn't even do that. Doesn't matter. This is what the prompt said. This is what we got to draw. In 1927, the Russian brings peace to the Chinese Civil War and transforms China into this oblast. So Russia just took over all of China. China at this time was going through like a warlord period. I guess that's not the case. I guess during the warlord period, Russia just came down and ate everything. The other thing I'm just now remembering is, remember, this is the Russian Empire. They're way bigger than the modern day Russian borders. We'll figure that out later. All right, so they have all of this. This is insane. I'm automatically thinking, is there even going to be a war, like a Soviet Civil War? Watching the history of the Russian Empire every year, we can kind of get an idea of how big they got at this time. Pretty much have control over Finland. I'm going to safely say Mongolia definitely wouldn't be here either. Finland's gone. Ukraine is, of course, gone. All the Baltic states. I think I'll keep the borders here for these guys, but just in case they go independent at some point. And this map is not at all meant to be perfect right now. They are turning all these things just into like oblasts. Communism becomes the first world ideology shared by more than 2 billion people. So there was still a Soviet Civil War, basically. Also, it appears that, the Third Reich is devastated by the Eastern armies in Russia. So it wasn't destroyed by Britannia. Maybe a little bit. We gotta assume it's a little bit. We are clearly going to have a mega Britain and a mega Russia in this universe. Capitalist America launches an ideological anti-communist crusade, but America's under Britain. Maybe there's still a lot of capitalism going on here. Western Pact of Capitalist Nations and creation of the Wall Ideology. The Wall Ideology. Oh boy. Third American-Russian World War. Surrender of the Western forces. Truman becomes the first communist president in America. Creation of the Communist United Nations. What? But for some reason, this is still happening. The best way I can interpret that is that all these places are now communist. Like basically the entire world is for sure communist. Truman can still technically be president of America that's still under control of Britain, or at least something like that. All right, you know what? We're just gonna jump into another change before I change around the map because I want to see what's gonna happen if I do this. Reign of Solomon the Magnificent over the Ottoman Empire. I'm gonna just go ahead and continue to make countries way more powerful. We're gonna make the Ottomans extremely strong. Probably ruin the map, but that's fine. How do we extend Solomon's power even greater? We're going to have him colonize, I guess, all of Africa. And now the Ottomans will never die. Again, my karma's going lower. So in 1520, the Ottomans are going to conquer Africa. And the Ottomans conquer Central Africa. Probably won't stop there. The Ottomans move its capital to here and dominate all of Africa and Asia Minor. I see. This is a city inside of Sudan. So they're moving their capital only like slightly more down. Slightly. So we have to assume that they're probably looking, I mean, they probably are stretching into the Baltics. I'm not sure how far exactly yet, but they probably got a lot of the Arabian territory territory. They already went pretty far into North Africa. If they have the capital in Sudan, then they definitely have Sudan. They conquered all the way to Central Africa, so we could probably give them a lot of this. I don't know if they have the entire continent. They usually will tell me directly, oh, this place conquered all of the continent. It'd be something like that for now. I feel comfortable with that for now. The Ottoman African army crushes the Holy Roman Empire in Vienna. Well, automatically, we will no longer have a world war, any world wars, so they are coming up and stretching like way far here. Vienna, here's Austria, something like this. First war between Europe and the Ottoman Empire for the domination of Europe. Okay, so they're apparently going to win this. There's another one in 1880 between Europe and the Ottoman Empire for the domination of Africa. Allied with Turkey, no, Germany wins WW2. Okay. Revolt of the nations and the Third World War, annihilation of humanity, basically. Well, that's one way to go. So there's a no Germany. Maybe we can give them Italy too. Why am I feeling like Italy would also be like somewhat conquered by the Ottomans? The Italians didn't unify until the 1800s. I'm gonna say that like at least southern Italy is Ottoman territory. The Naples area, Sicily. Just gonna erase the city-state. It's hard to imagine how big this no Germany got, but I mean, if they conquered the world, eventually destroying the world, they probably got a lot of this. They probably conquered everything, if anything. We literally started with like, okay, Britain controls the world. Okay, Russia controls the world. Okay, the Ottomans control the world. And then we ended humanity. Where do you even go from here? We have to go even further back in time, basically, to save humanity. I'm going all the way back. We're going 26,000 years ago. Yeah, 26,000 BC, 2600 BC. Instead of a pyramid, build a sphere. That should fix everything. Just imagine the Las Vegas sphere inside of the Egyptian desert, which really isn't that crazy of a climate change. It's already in the Las Vegas desert, technically. It's probably going to ruin Ottoman domination. All right, there you go. We have a giant sphere. Is it only one, I wonder? Okay, my karma didn't change at all. Construction of the Great Ball of this. I can't read that. The Nile pushes this ball into the sea. This city is built on the Great Ball, and that's it. All right. Well, man, quite the difference. I'm just gonna erase that. There is now a ball formation somewhere there, and on top of that, there is a city there. So probably controlled by Egypt, and then eventually taken over by the Ottomans. The only thing I changed there is now the Ottomans have this weird ball island in the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, let's keep going. Because we didn't do that much, let's continue to mess with that region, this time with the Suez Canal. We're gonna go ahead and sabotage the Suez Canal. We're not gonna let that happen. It's definitely gonna make my karma go down. Actually, I might lose the game. No, it didn't touch it. Okay, that's fine. It's possible to lose this game if karma goes down so far. Suez Canal collapses during inauguration. Construction of this wall. Africa extends its territory to the waters south of Cape of Good Hope and requires a passage tax. Africa is one single country. African powers repeal European settlers. Africa ceases all trade with the outside. Creation of the reserve, a European colony in Somalia. Africa welcomes all the refugees in the Second World War. We still end humanity though. Okay, so the Ottomans are not that big, but apparently they're still winning. We now have, I think, if I'm getting this right, we have a united Africa. I'll just give Madagascar too, why not? Oh, but apparently the Europeans are like, there's something going on in Somalia. I don't even know if I feel comfortable giving them all of Somalia. It would probably be like something equivalent to Hong Kong. It would just be like this little tippy area. Okay, the Europeans are there for some reason. But overall, still not affecting the Earth. Should we give more land to Britain? No, you know, the British have had enough. We're gonna say it's the French. They're more of a neutral power. They're not as strong as literally everything else around here. How would the Ottomans still be this strong to easily win without the power of Africa? They literally said, I'm gonna have to give the Ottomans more land so that they do win World War II and then eventually like collapse the world. Probably the most I can give them, really. I changed this event before in a previous video. We ended up giving a bunch of secrets to Genghis Khan, and he became like this crazy Mongolian Empire thing. I'm gonna go ahead and just say prevent the riding of Marco Polo. So something bad was gonna happen in Asia. We did fix my karma a little bit with that. Marco Polo escapes from prison and will never be found. Christopher Columbus invents this with walnuts. What? Oh, this with food. Okay, crucial to human history. Again, more massive food changes. This guy then goes around the world and discovers America, calls it, oh, so you have a completely different name for it. I made the world better because I gave it better food, but humanity is still ending. Also, I don't think the Buckingham Palace blows up anymore. Arrival of rail transport? I don't know. It starts off in the UK. I'm gonna make railroads super powerful. At least if we can have bullet trains by like the 1900s, that would be cool. The revolution of transport, humanity covers the world with rails. Napoleon conquers Europe with his locomotive tanks. The telegram uses the rails to communicate all the cities of the world are immediately connected. Invention of individual locomotives for individuals. Invention of floating rails. Locomotives can now travel around the world. Invention of rail locomotive capable of taking a traveler anywhere. The first space locomotive flies on orbital railway. That's in 1903. Super boom, first locomotive to reach Mach 2. Even with that, the world's still ending. Jeez. But who cares if the world ends, because we've clearly made it to like the moon or something. Napoleon conquers... How is the world still ending if Napoleon conquers Europe? I give Napoleon all of this. You know, I was planning on making this video way longer, but I just messed this world up so much that I don't think it's even achievable. Like, I ruined everything here. I don't know what's happening. I definitely made the wrong choices. I guess there's next time. Big thanks to my patrons. Destiny, 9,000. Drew needs to pay his taxes. Why am I doing this? John, Denver, Jack Travens, Annoying Friends, Inquisitors, Caleb, Australia is real. I am not a paid actor. Number 561. Patrick Dye, subscribe to the Mexican 716. Become a patron by checking the description down below.